as we can also see from the Menti survey that you just did, there is requirement to understand the consumer, and that's where everything centered around, the key consumer insights, right? And given a context that, like you said, that things are changing drastically, not just in brand and advertising, I think across the industry. It is disrupting across the industry. What I feel is, let's look at Nepal, from that perspective. I see that almost 72% of the population is below 35 years. That means we have a very young populations, right? Given a context, yes, there was discussed yesterday that many of them are traveling outside this country for better opportunities or studies. But still, even if you see it from the ratio perspective, we still have large chunk of audiences or consumers that is, largely youth. In that consideration, if you see Generation G or millennials for that matter, they believe in authenticity. Authenticity is the key. In that context, I think every brand or company has to be very open-minded. They have to be more and more transparent in terms of what they do. They have to work towards sustainabilities, like fair trade practices, and they should be open about the business values that they carry. And those things are going to get more and more relevant as we move from here. But having said that, how it is changing the context is, as when I started career some 20 years back, it was largely a media-driven approach that we used to do. To how it has come right now is it is largely become an idea-driven approach. A lot of things that we think, particularly in my team, is a lot of ideas are media agnostic ideas. Because I think that is how it's going to be more and more successful if it is more media agnostic, other than thinking on basis of media. And therefore those things has to be taken into considerations while we are thinking for today's consumers. Besides that, there was also discussion around, like for last 2 days, there's also been discussion around, is digital leading the show or the legacy media leading the show? And there's been, I would say that it's an idea that is leading the show. Therefore, in that consideration, but then at the same time, because digital transformation is becoming a buzzword for everybody of us, we have to be approaching the context in such a way that online versus offline or offline versus online, everything that we do around the brand has to have a very consistent presence so that people can correlate to it. There should not be any confusion in context to what you do in online versus offline transformation and online versus offline transformation. So these are some of the considerations I suppose brands are taking into consideration while moving from here.
So authenticity, idea-driven approaches, and consistency across platforms.
Yes.
Great. Perfect.